All right, here's an example of how to use mask data and transfer that mask data into position data. Okay, you can literally copy and paste a mask and paste it into the position attribute, and it becomes position keyframes. Okay, a lot of topics I'm going to introduce here. Check it out. I have a solid here with a mask on it, and if I just keyframe the mask path so that there's a blue diamond, while it's blue, it means it's selected. So I could hit Command C and copy this keyframe, and then I'm going to paste it onto the position attribute of the word orbit. Okay? Look at how I highlight the word position and then hit Command V to paste it. Look at those keyframes there. And here I can actually delete this solid. I don't need it anymore. And when I hit the spacebar, you'll see the word orbit is now moving in a circle. By the way, look at my keyframes. I think my face is blocking. Here, let me get that out of the way. Okay, if you take a look at my keyframes here, there are two diamonds at the beginning and end of this sequence, and the keyframes in between are called roving keyframes. Okay, I'm going to write that up here. Okay, this term roving keyframes refers to these dots in between the diamonds. And roving keyframes will stay relative to each other. If you grab this last keyframe and you drag it, you can see those dots will adjust themselves to keep the animation consistent. Okay, the timing of it will stay consistent even if you make it longer or shorter. They'll stay relatively the same distance from each other. Alright, so I can actually extend and scale up this whole entire animated sequence, and when I hit play, the circular motion will still be consistent there. Okay? Alright, I would like to adjust my anchor point so that the anchor point's more in the center of the word orbit. So I'll select the orbit layer and hit Shift A. When I hit Shift A, that will allow me to see the anchor point attribute while still looking at the position keyframes. And I can scrub the X and Y value, or I'm just going to scrub the X value, and that will change the anchor point to be more towards the center of the word orbit. Okay, there's my animation so far. And I think it would look good if the word orbit was small when it was further away. So I'm going to select the word orbit and hit Shift S. So holding down Shift when I expose a new attribute will add it to the list of other revealed attributes. If I were just to hit the letter S, you wouldn't see any of the other attributes. So I'll hold Shift P and Shift A, and I can see the other attributes with it. Don't forget that using the letters J and K will also allow you to skip to the next previous or next visible keyframe. Very, very useful keyboard command using J and K. Alright, so while the word orbit is further away, I'll make sure that the word is a lot smaller. And let's use the letter K to skip ahead. Oh, I need to keyframe it. So let me keyframe the scale attribute. Drag this keyframe to the beginning there. And then when the word orbit is really close, I'll increase this up to 100% size. Okay. By the way, I'm using the scroll wheel on my mouse to zoom in and out. but I can also use Option question mark to fit to window. That's another really useful keyboard command. And then as the word orbit gets further away again, I'll copy and paste the first keyframe over here. And I feel like the word orbit doesn't really get much smaller till maybe about here. So I'll just drop in a keyframe using the diamond between these arrows to drop in a keyframe. And maybe I'll just adjust the sizing here a little bit. Okay, that looks good to me. Okay, the final part of this exercise is how do you make it so that the word orbit actually goes behind the moon when I want it to, but then goes in front, it stays in front when it needs to. Well, the key to this exercise is to duplicate the word orbit, and I'm going to hit return and rename one of these layers orbit front and orbit back. Okay, orbit back needs to go behind the moon, and there's only a certain amount of time, a small window of time where I actually need the word orbit to go in front of the moon. Okay, so I go to the frame right before I need the orbit to go in front, and then I'll select orbit front, and I'm going to use a keyboard command of Option front bracket. Option front bracket, trim clip to trim beginning of the clip to where the playhead is. And of course, Option right bracket will trim the end of the clip to the playhead. So let me put comma end bracket, trim beginning or end of clip. Alright, so Option front bracket or Option left bracket is very useful. I don't need this orbit front layer to show up until this frame. So I hold down Option and hit front bracket, and you can see this clip gets trimmed so it won't even appear until I need it to. And then as soon as the word orbit moves away from the moon, I don't need that front orbit anymore. So I hit Option right bracket, and now when I hit spacebar, we got this complete illusion. It looks like there's only one word moving around the moon, but really there's two layers, one that's on top and one that's on bottom, and the one that's on top just appears when it needs to. Okay, this is a good exercise to just practice animating and practice moving things behind and in front, creating an illusion of depth. All right, go ahead and practice that on your own.